What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode here of the BlockHash podcast. Today, we have another exciting guest, founder and CEO Yuriy, here to discuss 3Commas, a leading platform providing advanced automation tools and infrastructure for crypto trading. Yuriy, welcome to the show, man. How you doing? Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me here, Brandon. It's all good. Wonderful day here in Barcelona. Yeah, really happy to be here.
What's Barcelona like this time of year, by the way?
I only moved here last year from Amsterdam. It's a long story of trips and everything because initially our main offices were in Tallinn in Estonia. And then back in 2021, we figured that it would be smart to have a presence in a big financial center like Amsterdam. But to be honest, working somewhere and living there is two different things. So yeah, at some point, a decision was made to extend here into Spain because quite a lot of interesting talent here. This is it at the moment.
Any particular reason why Barcelona over any other area throughout Europe? Or is there just a good ecosystem there, or is there opportunity, or was there anything in particular?
So these two things, as I said, very competitive market, meaning quite a lot of people, both from LATAM and from Europe, moving here, relocating here because of this the nomad visa, which means that for foreigners it's actually quite easy to relocate to Spain. Yes, the Spain tax system could be, quite heavy for an individual, but in terms of cost of living, quality of life, and everything else makes this area very interesting to quite a lot of people. Friends of the other founders of the companies that I know of are opening offices here as well. We still have our office in Cyprus and in Tallinn, so for now it just seemed to be logical to have a place somewhere in the middle, I would call it.
Nice. Do you get a lot of people coming over from LATAM in that region? I'm just asking because I'm based in Colombia. That's where I live, and I know a lot of people do go over there for work.
It's also an interesting choice. We had a trip over Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, and Paraguay 2 years ago, with all kinds of. It was actually a tour with the local fintech and crypto related agencies, have conferences about what can be done, what opportunities are there in the market. But to answer your question, definitely yes. In terms of community, crypto interested community, LATAM is definitely a very interesting region. So quite a lot of our community managers, marketing related people are from there. So yeah, we will have now I've set up this in a way where every quarter we have a 1 week meeting with the managers, and we are having the next one next week. And actually the person who will be facilitating the session is a very experienced one and from LATAM as well. So this is it.
There's quite a degree of people that are interested in this space here in LATAM, and I don't think most people realize that. But having been living here in Colombia, you can see there's a lot of people on the ground that are interested in working in the space. There's a vibrant tech and software scene, and Web3 has definitely taken hold. I think largely because there's a lot of missing infrastructure that people can kind of leapfrog over that they don't have that the first world does have, and it's really interesting to see their interest in some of the different rails with crypto and some of the fintech solutions.
I totally agree. Again, I don't know how it is in Colombia, but in these other countries that I mentioned, in a lot of cases, people are still paying in cash for, the many services that they need to use every day, right? And because of the way of mostly the historical reasons, right, and the presence of the United States as a big controller in that market, it is very hard to launch something similar to Revolut or other modern banks like there are like neobanks like there are here in Europe, for example, which makes crypto a really competitive into this in a real use case scenarios. So unfortunately, I would say that the legal framework is not there yet. And even though there are some big moves that are being made, this is still a challenge to the companies who are trying to do something with the real life applications, I would say, or or at least when we're talking about making things in a proper and legal way, compared to Asia, for example, right? When you could really have a proper inter-border transfers with crypto, and it will be perfectly legal and save a lot of costs because of that. But the change is different, is definitely there, and with all the Web3 stuff, again, we'll probably dig into that. But I am a big believer into the true value that the crypto could bring. Even now, many years later, we are still, I believe, in that moment where most excitement of the market is for people who are trying to get rich quickly. This is the opposite business of where I am at. But even the technology itself is so powerful that in the end, the changes still happen. And this is exciting, really. Like, this is the way I see it, because I've been in the industry. It's a separate topic, but actually, I was first mining Bitcoin back in 2011 and 2012. Which was funny because at that moment on 2 GPUs, so like on 2 video cards, you would mine 1 Bitcoin per day. But like with me particularly, I was mining them at like $7 and selling them at 13. And then Mount Gox happened, and I lost like 90% of what I had, and I forgot about crypto for 5 to 6 years, and we got back only in early 2017 where actually 3Commas started. But even seeing how this real life again applications change over this last 8 years, it's a huge leap. And then imagine where we would be in the next 8 to 10 years. So definitely, even though all this presence getting rich quickly schemes is there, which is also obvious why is it there, but there is also value in what the technology brings to the end user, one way or another.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating time to live in. The technology is amazing. I mean, there's get rich quick schemes in just about any industry, especially in any area across finance, even traditionally. So, I mean, I think people overblow it a little bit with crypto just because of how volatile it is and how easy it is to make a quick buck. But the technology is fantastic, and it's amazing to see how far it's come in such a short period of time. Like, the entire crypto market has barely been around a decade. It's very
That's
young.
true. And I guess like we've been talking with you for 10 minutes now, but the proper intro would be that before we started 3Commas, and we never wanted, we never actually wanted to do a business out of it in the beginning, because this was just an internal project. What we did was just a dashboard. So the first thing was just a dashboard that would show you your positions across multiple exchanges. And at that moment, when I say multiple exchanges, it was not that much. It was just 3 of them, right? You had Bitfinex, Bittrex. That was like mostly where everyone would trade before Binance times and everything else. Then at some point we decided to show the tool. We just called it a tool. So we decided to show the tool to our friends, and they asked us to if it is possible to add some trading features in there. And then at some point we decided to show it to a more broader audience. This is something that I'm really happy with, because in the first 3 years, 3Commas grew fully organically with just the feedback that we were getting from the users. So we built in a trading terminal, and our first killer feature, and something that almost everyone copied right now, which we call the smart trade, was actually the ability to set up both stop losses and take profits simultaneously. And before these modern order types that you see on the exchanges right now, it was not possible to do on the exchange. So I guess a lot of people would even think like, why is that needed? Because you have all of this in the exchanges. Well, you do have that now. But back in 2017, you didn't. So the only option was to use an external logic to do that. And then on top of that, we started receiving quite a lot of requests from people who wanted to automate their strategies. And that means that whatever strategy you have, most of our user base is more on the professional side. So what we call pro tail. not really retail users. Most of the times they will have some kind of a strategy in their mind, and then they will chart it somewhere like on TradingView, or they will even code indicators or the triggers themselves, and then they mostly need an execution layer. So 3Commas turned out to be this execution layer that allows people to execute whatever kind of strategy they have. And then the next obvious idea is that you have much more people who are non-developers, but they still want to execute their strategies. So what they want is a no-code solution, right? A proper UI that will allow them to describe and then execute whatever strategy they want. This was the moment where we started really to grow like really, really quickly. So, and then obviously the market helped in like 2019, 2021. In 2019, when we started getting some traction, and we added a proper monetization to the platform, I should say, because this was the moment where we introduced subscriptions and we started charging people subscription for using the service. We got an offer from Binance, which was initially for them to invest, and I thought that it would be a smart thing to do, to get closer ties with a big player like Binance. During some point, this investment proposal changed into an acquisition proposal. We didn't quite agree on the terms with Binance, so we passed on that. And then in 2020, we did the first round with FTX, or like Alameda, I should say. This was the moment when Sam was, person of the year, and everyone was cheering him. And a year later, we did another round, which was almost 15x in terms of everything, like valuation, round size, and all that. The answer to question why was that we grew 13 times in number of users and like 11 times in number in revenue. Back in 2021, and I guess this should be an interesting story, because at that moment, everyone was cheering for 3Commas, and it was a great moment where we, like me and my co-founders, we got so much positive feedback about how everything is going really great and all that. Little did we know that at that moment we did all the mistakes that an inexperienced, I would say, or like a young entrepreneurs like us would do. Meaning that in a year we hired, so we were a very lean and very organized team that worked a lot together for more than 8 years at that moment, right? Which meaning that we were very quickly to deliver whatever users need, and we listened to their feedback and we pushed to production whatever the users wanted. But at that moment in a year, we hired 300 more people, and then the market collapsed. And then FTX collapsed, 3Commas got hacked. In a year, we lost, I would say, 80% of the users, a little bit less in revenues, mostly because of the way it was set up with subscriptions. So the journey after, this great success with the rounds and growth and everything was to rebuild the company again, reorganize the team, mostly pivot, because since then we are almost fully focused on the institutional part of the market because of how the market changed itself, right? But yeah, this is the story that I will happy to go into detail today.
Yeah, that's quite a timeline. You guys have definitely gone through some crazy ups and downs over the years here. And it sounds like your primary focus now with 3Commas, the core mission is focused on automated trading. What problem do you want to try and solve there with automated trading? Is that an ability to help people, that aren't good at trading so that they can take advantage of the market and put money in and have it go to work for them? Or is there like another idea in mind behind wanting to implement that?
The problem that we are solving is actually twofold. So the first one is the whatever is related to the let's allow people to automate a strategy that they have in their head without them needing to learn the code or actually coding something. So mostly anything that you want, especially if you rely on some third-party systems like TradingView or others, you want to automate with what 3Commas does. So as a user at this level, what I'm always saying is that 3Commas is a tool, which means that in a lot of ways, we should talk about how markets are different. And what I mean, the audiences are different. But when you would go into the retail side of the audience and the market, you would see all the tools like the bots that the that the exchanges have now. They didn't have them even 3 years ago when we were. Then they figured out that the platforms like ours, first they generate quite a lot of volumes for the exchanges, because it is for a user who doesn't know what to do. Then the strategy itself becomes a promise of a better chance of him making more money, right? So think of for example, of the DCA strategy, which is still one of the most popular tools that people use within 3Commas. The promise of a DCA strategy is basically the same as if one would go to a casino and he will go to play roulette, and then he would double down every time he loses. Well, the idea here is that if you have an infinite amount of money, at some point you will win, right? And this is a concept that a lot of people understand. Now, I call this a retail part of the product, because the strategy itself is a promise to the user that if he implements the strategy right, then at some point he will make the money, right? But the problem here is that a lot of people forget that, well, actually, in real life, it doesn't work this way, meaning you do not have the infinite amount of money, which means that you need to make better and smarter decisions, and you actually need to control whatever automation you're doing. This is why I always say that 3Commas is a tool which allows you to execute the strategy, but the strategy itself is not a promise for you to make profit. So the first, again, coming back to your question, the first problem that we are solving is to allow people who have a strategy in their head to automate it without the need to write the code, right? This is the first thing. The second thing is the ability to execute this strategy across multiple exchanges. We have 17 exchanges connected, and to be honest, I would expect this number to go down, not up, sooner, because most of the users prefer like a better, more robust connections for the big players. But this requires quite a lot of effort to maintain these connections in the proper state, and the exchanges are going into quite a lot of, I would say, new ways, new types of accounts, all kinds of future modes, margin modes. And I'm quite happy to say that we are one of the platforms that do these things really, really well in terms of the infrastructure, the connections, and everything else. Think of us as a multi-exchange, multi-venue execution for a user who wants to do that. And now Pivot that I've been talking about earlier was about thinking of who the asset managers in crypto are. And you will figure out very quickly that, well, you have proper big crypto hedge funds, you have family offices, but you also have quite a lot of people on the individual levels who are either managing their funds for their friends and families, right? Or they are acquiring users in some way and then executing some kind of strategy for them. In a lot of time that will be called copy trading. I'm not a big fan of that particular word. The idea is still the same, that you have an expert or a manager who has some kind of a strategy, and then he wants to execute this strategy in a proper and safe manner across many, many users. What is important here is that in a lot of cases, when you have the control and the power of many accounts connected to one place, well, actually, you have the ability to, let's say, manipulate a price at some point, or at least favor one client across the others, right? And this is definitely not what clients want. So what we do is that we implement the algorithms that would execute whatever trade is needed to be executed in a proper and fair manner, and then work on the proper reporting statistics and data that could be, exported to all kinds of like tax software, for example. And then the user management. So think now that this asset manager, he's not alone, but he has a team. Well, at this moment, he wants to set up different kinds of permissions for his team members to execute one type of orders over another, or one type of strategy over another, or execute a strategy within certain limits, and all that stuff. We are getting a lot of positive feedback on that. We call it the managed accounts mode, where you would have a person, again, who is controlling this amounts of different exchange accounts.
You know what I find so fascinating about this, and why I also think 3Commas is a really great tool for this, is I have a lot of people, some of them are individuals, some of them are companies, some are family offices, some are actually investors that will ask me, my opinion on the market or what they should be investing in or how to approach investing in something. And I'm like, you got to go do your own due diligence. You got to look at the charts. You got to run studies. You got to analyze things. And they're like, well, I don't know how to do any of that. And some of these are like actual investors too. And I'll never say who. But some of these things are very complex for people. And in a market like crypto, which is 24/7 and is highly volatile, even the stock market in the US is going to move to a 24/7 market at some point next couple of years. It's really hard to wrap your mind around all these different nuances in the market. And the future, I really do think, is going to be bots and automation and algorithms and being able to allow yourself to hedge a market that's being hedged all the time. The human element, I think, is really hard to keep up with the algorithmic element that is at play now in most markets. And I think what you guys have here with 3Commas is a really, really good tool because it's going to allow a lot of people, I think, to keep up and be able to compete.
Your point about algorithmic trading is definitely like on point here, because if you would actually look at the volumes, at some cases, 80 to 90% of the volumes are done by whatever bots or algorithms. The thing that we are trying to solve here is it actually plays to the second part of it, where on the other side you have quite a lot of people who want to execute whatever kind of strategy, but they do not have the necessary skills, again, to code it and to do that. Now, the interesting thing here is that, as you said, the market is moving into this bots and even, let's say, straight away, this AI automated agents world. What you have now is the technical possibility to link these two things together. So not only you can get better data, which means better decisions at some point, but also because we see that right away. You probably heard it also, that 90% of the users, or especially of the retail users, like 90% of the users will lose 90% of their deposit in the first 90 days, I'm sorry. Which means that this factor of being a good trader, it's not only about a trading strategy, it's also about proper risk management, emotions management, and not doing basically making good decisions against bad decisions, right? What I want to do, in what we are doing, is to provide the users with a solution that will integrate the AI part of the market, which will provide them with the analytics and better context to make a decision, with the tools that will limit the effect of emotions, which will limit the factor of not being online all the time. So this is, I still believe that for the next or this couple of years, all this system will require a person to be in charge of them, even if it is something like controlling the exposure or making, at some corner cases, the decisions that the system is not able to make itself yet. But the best part of it is that this is definitely the way to allow people to make better, safer, and more qualified decisions. So this is definitely there.
What are some of the products that you guys offer in terms of bots? I think you mentioned a few earlier, like the DCA one. I know you have others focus on different types of strategies in focus points like signal, grid, stuff like that. But do you have anything new as well?
So the signal, the old, let's call them the old products, all right? The old products, we call them the DCA bot, but actually, once you go and try to dig deeper into that, DCA bot is something that we will rework or like rename at some point, because inside it is already a monstrosity that allows you to, in the end, execute virtually any strategy with the external connections, but we still, just due to quite a big user base that we have, we call it the DCA bot. Then we have the grid, which is again a grid strategy. It's been there for years. Yes, we are working on a better ways to describe how it can be tuned, the statistics and the data that it shows and all that, because it's definitely far from perfect, mostly of the way the system was built 7 to 8 years ago. This is, a funny challenge that we have so many ideas, but we also have this huge legacy already. It's funny how we started the company, not that long ago, but now it's been 7 years, and there's actually quite a huge code base that we need to rebuild. And this is why at some point it is taking us longer to build value and deliver it to the customer. But we are doing a lot and we're investing a lot in this part right now. But now the Signal bot, it was launched last year as an idea of a new version for Let's Automate whatever. And now the new thing that we are working on right now, and you probably saw it in many other solutions, but I guess because of the background and the stuff that we already have, I hope we'll have just a better product, is integrating a like GPT-like interface to this automated engine. So think of a way where, and I know that there have been people who've been trying to do this before, but in the end, the way it will work is that you describe a strategy through a GPT-like text box. Then it either would ask you questions, or it will just show you the way the configuration of a strategy would look like. You can backtest it, and then you can, execute it. Again, our main focus here is to give the ability to execute it across multiple exchanges, multiple venues, and provide person in control, with the right tools to manage it further. But the end goal here is obviously to make them to make the system modular, meaning that you will have one set that is configured to make like this kind of decisions for entry points, for example, and optimizing that and learning from that. The second one would just probably give you information about what's happening on the market and what are the prospectus, which is at some points could be even just the analytics of the Twitter feed, like X or Twitter feed or Reddit feed or others. And in the end, you will have this multi-component system that will allow managers to build strategies, execute strategies, and most importantly, control them over a long period of time. Because it is easy to set up something, but when you have a system which was working for like 6 to 9 months, well, then it definitely becomes a challenge. And especially when you have, let's say, 100 accounts connected to that, this is the direction where we're going, and all the AI tools are definitely helping a lot with that.
Gotcha. What platforms, softwares, exchanges is 3Commas compatible with right now?
It will be easier to name ones that we are not with. So again, 17 major ones, all of them. So Binance, both with Binance US and Turkey, Coinbase, Bybit, OKX. I would encourage everyone to just go and test it for themselves. Again, keeping in mind that the system, this asset management part, it's a separate one, and but it should be pretty easy to find through the interface. I would also say that if you're a developer, then definitely go and check our API side, because this is an interesting internal product that just emerged. But for any developer, you can use 3Commas as the basically and already hosted alternative to the need of building all the connections to the exchanges yourself and managing the data flows, getting the market data and all that by yourself. There are companies who do just that, but with our infrastructure, I'm pretty confident that the execution that you will get 3Commas will be much better in many cases, because we're developers ourselves and we are constantly working on making this thing better as well. We have what we call like an API first. We at least would like to think of it this way, of a like what we call an API first approach. We would build an API first, and then whatever product we build, we build on top of that. So meaning that if you want to build whatever your own trading platform, right, you can build it on top of 3Commas infrastructure, and then do not worry about the safety of your keys, actual maintaining of the exchange of the connections to the exchanges and all that. You can just build the value that you see, because a lot of what we experience with the market is that there are a lot of people who just want to sell their strategies, right? Whatever strategy that is, and the better the strategy, like for the institutional markets, when you come up with a strategy, it will be called an indicator. For retail Telegram groups and others, it will be called a signal. But in the end, it's more or less the same thing when you have someone who is in charge of executing the strategy across multiple accounts.
Nice. Is there any price or fees associated with using 3 commas? Like, do you have to sign up with like a plan? Are there different like tiers to that, or what are the levels of entry points?
So the way it works right now is that we have, first of all, when you sign up, you can use the platform for free, which gives you the ability to test, I would say, all the features that are there, meaning you can launch every bot, test it with, we have a demo account that is associated and is actually a proxy of a Binance spot market. So whatever you want to do there will be matched with the backtesting and everything. And then there are two more, like I would say, four more tiers. The next one costs $30, and the next one costs $80. The idea there is that it limits you with the amount of like bots or these automated buckets that you can launch. But when you want to go more than that, then we have a custom plan. This is then associated with the asset manager product, which we are still in process of building. I would be very transparent saying that the average pricing for the audience that we have right now is around like $500 to $1,000 per month for that one. But when you're managing, close to $10 million, for like I would say from 1 to 10, then it becomes it makes sense. But I would also say that we call it a custom plan because it is most of the times built for the needs of the user. So we are very flexible and open with the end goal of bringing value to the customer.
Where are you guys available? Are you available globally? Are you focused on any particular countries or regions at the moment?
We're available globally, except for the sanctioned countries. Now, with the MiCA regulation, especially in Europe, we're in the process of, we are right now partnering up with a licensed entity who will help us to provide the same services in Europe. Apart from that delay, which should be fixed by the end of the March, I would say, the system is available globally, and the support is available globally. This has been a very big focus for us from the beginning.
Okay, cool. And then here's a fun question. If you could pick, what would you say would be maybe the 5 best assets that you could bot trade through 3 commas, or that you see are the most popular to trade? And why would you think so?
Okay, so again, it will be twofold. So first of all, it heavily relies on the profile of the customer. So the bigger like the more assets the customer manage, the basically the big guys would in a lot of case trade the stuff that they understand, and the stuff that they understand in a lot of cases will be just probably BTC, Ethereum, and Solana. And then the last two would be very dependent on the market, meaning what is the setup right now and what is popular right now. So when for example, when the popular meme coins are added to the to taxes, a lot of people try to trade them. I would say that mostly still, if you would take through the whole 7 years, it will be very consistent with the coin market cap of the coins. So you would take top five, remove USDT from there, or like USDC, and then you will have those. It is very important to think of a profile of a user, because there is quite a big group of people who would not hold BTC and Ethereum or even Solana. They will be deep into altcoins, and then try to overplay the market with that strategy, which again brings us into the strategy. And then think of an idea when you can come with the same question to the GPT section and go, hey, can you please pick 5 assets based on whatever, or like not even based on something, but just pick me 5 assets, and then the system will ask you whatever questions, because in the end, it is all about your risk appetite, your tolerance to drawdowns, how much money do you have, how much are you willing to see uh, to lose in the end, right? So this is all very personal, but this is great, like having such tools that will allow people to at least learn more from the market is definitely great.
Absolutely. And to kind of start wrapping up the episode as well, what's on your guys' horizon here in 2025? Are you guys looking to launch any new products? Are you guys going to be touring around and going to any events or engagements?
We are quite often going to all the institutional related events and showing up our asset management product. So the main two things that we plan to launch is this. I really don't want to call it AI bot, but whatever AI integrated automation tool, which will do all the stuff that we discussed before. And then the second big thing is the next version of the asset management product, which will have the stuff that we've talked about before, plus DEX integrations, because quite a lot of people are waiting for like Hyperliquid, Jupyter integrations. And this is something that we actually have quite a lot of experience with, because we've been working on a DeFi related trading automation thing for 3 years. We ended up closing that project, but we still have the knowledge and the idea of how to set up the system correctly. Let's call it the AI tool in the next version of the asset management product.
Excellent. And where can people go to learn more about 3Commas? Should they just go to the website?
So 3commas.io is the best place to start, or .com is that it all comes to the same place. Also our YouTube channel, because it has quite a lot of explanations of the proper use cases that you can do with us. And most importantly, if you're a developer, definitely check out our API related documents, because it again has all the use cases described, and it will be a great place to start it.
Awesome. We'll put all the links in the description for the episode below so everyone can find that very easily. Yuri, appreciate you taking the time today. It's been a really good conversation. Learned a lot about 3Commas and what you guys are working on, and excited to see you guys continue to grow throughout this year. Keep me updated on everything.
Thank you. Thank you, Brandon, for having me here.